Hey y'all, welcome back, and we're actually back a week after we last recorded. Holy crap, this is unreal. Um, if you are watching on YouTube, you're looking at my co-host wearing a wrestling mask as well as wearing a great jersey, which we'll talk about for this episode, just because he is actually Kevin. I want you to explain why you're wearing the mask.
Well, there's two reasons. Well, one, my mask matches my Caitlin Clark jersey. And, honestly, just hiding my disappointment in our West Virginia basketball team. And for the last 72 hours of finding out, we didn't make March Madness as the first team out, to our coach running away and leaving us, and to just, having to start this whole coaching search process all over again. It's sad. It's upsetting. But I do have faith in our AD Ren Baker. I think
Mhm.
he's doing the right things. Saying all the right things. I think he wants us to be good. And yeah, we'll get more into that. But yeah, shout out to my La Parka mask. I found it in our my little recording room, and I figured I would wear it because, why not? Also because WrestleMania season is here. Stay tuned to a possible wrestling episode. Joe Mac, Leland, Cyrus, if y'all hear that, please
You might want to
let me
send
know if
them a
you're ready.
text. Might want to send that text out to them. Um,
Oh yeah.
Well, I love it. I'm just rocking some West Virginia gear. I do have a West Virginia shirt on underneath, because the Book Exchange was doing a big spring sale up until Sunday. So I bought Luca a couple new shirts and bought myself a one of the Jerry West shirts that they had.
There you go.
I was like, ooh, I'll take that for like 25 bucks instead of 50. So
Absolutely.
I'll take that all day, every day. And hopefully soon I'll be adding a new jersey to my collection whenever it comes in.
Soon and shortly.
Yes.
Just give it some time.
Oh,
It's coming.
we got plenty of time. I'm not worried about it. I already know it's been ordered. We're good there. I can't wait. That is probably going to be the most worn jersey I've ever had in my life. Um, but let's just jump into it. Well, NFL free agency is still going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Minnesota Vikings gave the middle finger to Aaron Rodgers and said, nope, we're going with JJ McCarthy, which thankfully someone finally did that. And they didn't just bend over backwards for him. So I'm excited. But Kevin, apparently your Pittsburgh Steelers are like in the mix for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. I guess they talked to him. They're interested in him. Me personally, do I think it's the right move? I don't know. I just feel like that's just us moving in the backwards direction.
Mhm.
Um, I would really like someone a little more mobile of a quarterback, to be truly honest. Like I would rather have us get Russell Wilson back, if anything, if we're just stuck on not having a quarterback. Um, I don't feel like you sent me, I heard like Mason Rudolph is coming back to us for whatever reason.
They signed him again, yeah.
Yeah, that's just not the answer. I don't think it should be, but yeah. We'll see. I just do know that the asking price for him is astronomical in my opinion. I believe it's like 33 million for a year, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Aaron. If you want that money, you might as well go and start commentating next to Tom Brady,
Yeah, no.
because I think that is absolutely blasphemous, as Stephen A would say, because there's no way we're giving 33 million to a guy who just came off Achilles surgery and probably had probably two of his worst years ever.
Yeah.
But
And
I heard he's all, but with Aaron Rodgers, I heard another team very interested in him is the next door neighbor to the Jets, the Giants, which
yep.
another astonishing, like the move that the people that keep hearing that they're interested in is either Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, or Russell Wilson. And I'm like, could we literally get any older?
I the only reason I can see them doing that is that they might know that they're not gonna take they assume that Cam Ward's gonna go number one. overall to the Browns. Number two, oh no, not the Browns, the Titans. Number two, the Browns might take, or the Giants. No, the Giants are fifth pick, right? Yeah, they're fifth. So they're seeing everyone else potentially taking, you know, Ward, um, Abdul Carter. Then you have Travis Hunter. Then you have with the Patriots potentially, depending on what happens there with Travis Hunter at three, maybe taking him or an offensive lineman or trading. And then you have the Giants at five, where they might take a swing at Shooter Sanders, which I think is a horrible life decision by any NFL team. I don't think he translates very well, but we will jump on. He's here. He's here. Everyone, Cyrus is joining us, by the way. He just had to get the interwebs to work, where he is in Delaware. Hello!
Yeah.
Oh, he's a little frozen.
Am I here?
Kind of.
Yes.
You just freeze a little bit because your internet connection's crappy. But that's okay.
Well, yeah, I'm working with what I got to work with. So
Hey, who cares? You're having fun. So we
We
just
appreciate you
started.
having you on.
Yeah, we're happy you're here. We're going to dive into the next topic that you keep trying to talk about, the LeBron and Stephen A. Smith drama.
what was the
That
first one I missed?
Aaron Rodgers potentially going to the Steelers and some
All
NFL free
right,
agency crap.
listen. I'll be honest with you. If he goes, he goes. I mean, the Steelers are still going to be a 500 team, regardless of the fact. And
They've never been a 500 team under Tomlinson.
all right, well, above 500, they'll still make the playoffs, right? They'll still get there one way, shape, or form. Like, we can all agree with that, right? That's something that always happens. So, until they decide they want to break down, start all over from brass taxing up. That's what's going to happen. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is with the Steelers. How's everybody? Hey, Kev, you look different today. Having breathing issues?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Love the mask, sir. Love the
Thank you.
mask.
Thank you. It matched my jersey, so I wore it together.
Oh, all right. I love that so much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Well, perfect. Let's jump into some Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James drama. Cyrus, I'm going to let you take the start on this one because we talked about it. You asked about it again because it just keeps developing because these two idiots can't keep their freaking mouths shut.
All right, so here's what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say this. I think they were both wrong in the sense of they put Bronny in the middle of this. For 20 plus years, they've been having this whatever beef they've been having, right? He doesn't like the way Stephen A. Smith works. He doesn't like the way, LeBron James is passive aggressive, whatever the world it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all get it. Listen, he's not going to be better than we, depending on which side you're on. He may not be the best player above MJ, right? Or Kareem or whoever it is, right? And that's cool. But at some point in time, and I'll put a percentage to it. I think it's 35% Stephen A, 65% LeBron. And you can tag them, whatever you want to do with this, right, Kev? Because I know you put it on Instagram, right? At some point in time, you have to start admitting your faults.
Mm-hmm.
And are putting Bronny in the middle of these things. You have to say, hey, listen, the guy has a job to do. If you put him in the middle of this, of this thing, this is what's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. You said he was better than some of the players playing in the NBA. You can't change that. You can't take it away. It's on film. It's what everybody says. You come back, you talk to him, you talk about him, it's just, you have to admit. Because now what's going to happen is he set the precedent where we're all saying we can't talk about Carmelo Anthony's kids. We can't talk about Gilbert Arenas' kids. Whoever else kids come in and play at NBA, we can't talk about them, right? Lord forbid you say something bad about him, we all have an issue. But to confront the man at the game without you at least, and regardless of what you say, oh well, we went in and we had a conversation. No, you listen, man. You're a father. We all get it. I'm a dad, Merritt's dad. At some point in time, we would stick up for our kids too. But if we put our kids in a position where they're going to get the light shined on, they have to understand you got to be ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not, so be it. But don't get mad at the guy for doing this job. It's not like he sit there for doing it for like 13 years and talk about how bad Bronny was. He was talking about it for a segment of time, and the only reason he had to talk about it was you put him in a game against Tyrese Maxey, and he had 20 points dropped on him in the first half. That's it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Like that whole situation, Lynn, I can't believe we're still talking about it, but then again, we haven't had a chance to talk about it on here.
Right.
But like I was just I couldn't understand. Like he just decided out of nowhere to just do it in the middle of the game was definitely a huge no-no. Like I definitely felt they should have done it behind closed doors, keep it out of the
Right.
limelight, and then leave it at that. But because he made it such a spectacle, now we all got it. Now we're all talking about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, and everybody has to talk about it now because it's been made a huge scene that was made viral.
Right.
And then now, Stephen A has to explain himself, and then LeBron's just gonna keep doing him. And at like you said, Cyrus, there's a certain point in time where you have to own up to what you've done. Like I don't know. Like I think I put up the Cyrus. Are you mentioning the video that I put up of when Stephen A was on the Gill Arena?
Well, no, there was one on January 29th on First Take. There was one on Gil's Arena. He's been as a matter of fact, you can go 3 years back if you want to. When Bronny was still at Sierra Canyon, he didn't go to any of the games because he didn't want to critique the kid because
Yeah,
he didn't want to have to sit there and critique him because it was LeBron James' kid.
yeah. Well, yeah. That's I remember he said on Gil's Arena that like I refuse to go to Sierra Canyon. I refuse to go to USC because, to Stephen A's point, he is a pro basketball analyst, not
Right.
a college, not a high school.
Right.
So he wasn't gonna say anything on him until he made it to the league. And like you said, Cyrus, the minute he came into the league, averaging what, 2.6 points a game, 6 minutes a game, and getting chewed up by Tyrese Maxey, getting 20 put on him. He's 55th pick. He's commented on the 55th
Right.
pick on the NBA draft. Like you're like, what else are we to expect of him? You know? But who knows? I'm curious where else this saga is gonna lead us because I feel like it's always gonna just pop back up once in a blue moon when it comes to LeBron and Stephen A.
Yeah. I thought the only issue I have with the whole thing is one, like you guys said, it should have been handled by LeBron differently,
Uh,
Right.
where he pulled Stephen A aside and said, "Hey, look, this whole thing just needs to end. I get you do what your business, whatever, but we got to end this because this affects my family life, it affects other things." So I agree with you on that. The only thing I don't agree with is since it all has occurred, LeBron hasn't said really anything about it besides the one comment later on afterwards. It has been Stephen A that brought it up on his podcast. He brought it up on First Take. He brought it up on Gilbert Arenas' show. So he keeps bringing it up to keep, and how I see it, and I can be completely wrong.
Mm.
He brings it up just to keep the limelight there, right?
Right.
He, Stephen A. Smith is one of those people that likes having the limelight on him. We all know that. That's his take. I honestly think he's one of the worst NBA analysts I've ever listened to.
Right.
I think he's trash. But he's a great person of how he handles situations and how he does stuff. I just don't think he's good. But that doesn't deter the fact that this situation, he could be the bigger man and say, you know what? You guys can ask me the questions about it. But honestly, it's done with at this point. If LeBron wants to talk with me, if any of these NBA players that are upset with me want to talk with me, I'm more than welcome to talk with them. in a private setting and have those conversations stay private. That's how I view it. But
Yeah,
again,
I think yeah.
it's both sides of the coin is the same thing. So
I think part of it is that and I'm going to say it from both standpoints. Because I'm a father who as a kid who plays sports, and I'm a guy who's on here talking about it, and I'm a guy that has coached in a little bit bigger realms other than just recreation. And the one thing that I do know is this: you you have to be objective at some point in time, and at some point in time, you have to understand when the boundaries lie at. And I think what happened was I think somebody forgot where the boundary lies at. I don't know which one did, right? But to Merritt's point, I think somebody forgot where the boundary lies at. And I think they didn't realize that they crossed that boundary. Now, it could be both of them for all I know, right? But it could be one over the other. But I think somebody crossed that boundary. But I will say this, and then we can leave it at this so you can add to it, right? What I do think is this. I think it was a calculated move because if you watch that video, when he did confront Stephen A. Smith, he did turn around and look at the camera. He didn't look at Stephen A. Smith. He turned around and looked at the camera. I think what it was, I think he was trying to drum up business for himself. And I say for this way, right? Remember at the beginning of the season, him and Bronny came out and they got subbed in together. Everybody was great. Everybody was fine. I think at the beginning of the season, they were in me and Kev, and I think Mary, you weren't on the podcast at the time. We had talked about where the Lakers were going to end up at, right? And we said, well, the Lakers right now, as Presley put, with Anthony Davis and LeBron Davis, we're talking about maybe 6th or 7th seed, right? We weren't talking about top 5 with Luka or anything like that. And the object was, well, we know that they're not winning a championship as Presley constructed. And if, for whatever reason, they were to get any publicity, it would be purely because LeBron James and Bronny played together, right? That was the promise. So that way they could bring people into the stands. He could walk away in the limelight or whatever it is. Now, going forward, Lakers say, hey, you know what? Really can't go forward with this. It's not really working out the way I want. They were in what place, Kev? They were like the 8th or 9th place, right?
They were like, I think they were at 10th, 9th or 10th
right?
At one point. Yeah.
So
Yeah, they were like in that cusp of being like that. You're like one of the last seeds in the play-in if
Yeah.
playoffs were to end today.
Right. So
And now they're like second, which is wild, crazy.
right. So I'm going to say he knew that is a calculated risk. He knew that they weren't going to win. But now the point of having Bronny there was to show the attraction. So now, whether it was good or bad news, and we all say good, any publicity is good publicity, right? Even if it's bad. If you have it, now you can sit there and say, oh, well, Bronny's on the Lakers. He's doing this, even though he's averaging 1 point. He's in there. He's giving them a lead. Look at the future, right?
Yeah.
Now, they make this trade. Say, listen, we can't worry about Anthony Davis. He's not there. He's not working anymore. When Anthony Davis sits there and they move Anthony Davis, they're bringing Luka, right? It's been quiet. Nobody says anything. And mind you, the last thing we talked about was January 29th. Now you turn around a month and a half later, and now you confront him.
Yeah.
I think that's really calculated. I think that's something, hey. And now if you think about it, you can look at Twitter or anything else. Everybody's looking at Bronny's stats between the G League and what he's been doing on the Lakers. For God's sakes, on X, there was a thing. Bronny hit a step back 3. Why are you talking about Bronny hitting a step back 3? Like, it's not like it's anything.
Hey, shout out to him hitting that step back 3, though.
Right. So that's my point. I think it was a calculated move to make sure that his name and Bronny's name stay in the conversation. That's what I think it was. That's my high take on it. I think it was a way for him to keep everything moving, to keep everything relevant. So that way, when push come to shove, whether they win or they lose with Luka, they could say, hey, we were in the talks, we were in this, we were in that, right? That's my high take on it. Because I think it was a calculated risk to make sure that they stay relevant. Because mind you, for a month and a half, nobody said anything about Bronny, right? Didn't talk about the G League.
Honestly, Didn't even remember if he was still playing for the Lakers, if he
There
was still
you
in the G
go.
League.
There
You're
you
right.
go.
I
There
didn't even
you
know he was on
go.
the bench during that day.
There you go. So now, if you can so now you talked about him on X. We're talking about it here. We're doing all this stuff, right? Now we're still talking about it, right? And now his name is still in there. So now everybody's going to talk about the Lakers and everything else. There you go. There's marketing 101. If I any good news, any news is good news, and this is exactly what it happened. But that's my take on it at this point. I'm just sitting here to say, as a person and as a kid that plays sports, and even has been the biggest part is this. I, my father was known for playing basketball around New Jersey in certain areas, and so was my cousin. I had an expectation on me, right? But understanding that my dad didn't come to my side. He said, listen, you go out there and play, you're going to get your butt beat. That's what's going to happen. But you have to be a man to stick up and play for yourself. Now, as far as like fisticuffs and all the other crap, right, then there's a different story. But other than that, listen, if you're out here and you want to play with me, you gotta stick up for yourself. But like I said, I think it like I said, my biggest thing is I think it was employer designed to make sure that they stay relevant within the realm of what it is. So
I like it. I like it. Merritt, what's next on the agenda?
Let's see. Talk about the NBA season winding down.
mm,
But honestly, who cares? Because the biggest news in the NBA season just hit the freaking web this morning at like 9 o'clock when the Celtics were sold for $6.1 billion.
it's not gonna change. It's not gonna change anything.
Actually, I was reading an interesting article from Sports Business Journal. So there's been talks of expansion within the NBA, looking at Mexico City, Vegas, and Seattle, right?
Right.
Looking at those markets, they already have a good fan base in Seattle, so that's a easy one. Then you pick
Right.
Vegas or Mexico City. If you
Right.
want to do international, whatever. So they had a lot of the owners were concerned about splitting the revenue,
Right.
right? How is that going to look? What is this going to be? I think from the numbers I was reading, it's every year they bring in $177 million extra into the pot, and that goes up 7% every year
Right.
for however many years. So they were concerned about how's that going to split? How does that work out? And they want to see what the Celtics sold for. So how much money can they put out there for an expansion team? The Suns were the last team that were 4.2 billion, right? They
Mm,
got everything. Well, Celtics just hit an all-time record for across all American sports at 6.1.
right.
So now the owners they're going to look at it and they'll go, "Well, this looks great. We got people that have deep pockets that want to do this. Maybe there is better opportunity for us to add these other teams so that we can continue to grow a fan base, which we know is extremely popular here in the United States, but also globally, and then see what the next step in that process is. So I think it's great, though. Apparently, they undersold what the actual market value for the Celtics was. The evaluation was $7.3 billion.
Whew.
Do
Uh,
do you do you think part of it is because of what happened with Idoka?
no, I don't think so. I think they've moved on
Right.
from that. Um, I think it's just they evaluate it at a certain cost, but no one's going to pay that much money. Um, we're lucky to have Billy Chisholm, who's apparently from Massachusetts, huge Celtics fan, went to Dartmouth. He is also allowing Wick to stay on for an additional 3 years
Mm,
as the president of the organization. Um, so basically staying in his seat right now. I don't know if that'll change, if he'll stay on board for further or what. But it does sound like this guy's just going to throw money at this and do whatever he has to do to make us let us win.
I,
So
I I would that sounds about right. I mean, other than the Dallas Mavericks being sold to the douchebag that he is. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. But drinking a little bit. Anyway,
Oh God, Cyrus.
It's March Madness, my week off. What do you expect? No, I would say, in all joking, I'm joking. I would say that them being sold is probably a great thing. I mean, other than being sold to, the Mavericks being sold to whoever it is, and then them getting rid of Luca, I think that's a pretty good deal. I didn't know, like I said, the reason I said the thing about the Udoka thing was just I didn't know if that was part of the reason why they sold it for underneath what it was, right?
No,
Obviously,
they were saying they were shocked if they would. A lot of owners were saying they would be shocked if they got over $5 billion for it.
okay,
Um, Selling it for 6.1 is huge. So I think across the NBA is a great move for the whole
yeah,
league,
right.
because it will increase the value of even those smaller
Well, yeah,
teams.
I think that the next step, and I think me and Kev, I think we talked about it on the one podcast. Like I said, when you were around, I think it was you, and I forget who the other. I think the other person was Noel. We had a conversation. I said, well, I think that the next step will be to get Seattle, Las Vegas, and probably, like I think Kev said, like probably another 2 or 3 teams, whatever it is, to even it out, to level the playing field as far as like the number of teams in both leagues.
Right.
And I think that that's the next step. I mean, as you see now with women's sports evolving, you see everybody wants to put, like Philly wants to put a women's team in. Um, Seattle already has one, but they want to put a men's team in. Like they want to have it even all across the board so they can afford to. And I think part of it is, to Kev's point. A couple of weeks ago we talked about having everybody stay in the states, not go overseas to play basketball when the off season comes. I think that's what the goal is now, right? So if you can get 50, or if you can get 30 or 35 women's teams in there as much as the same amount as men's teams, obviously you're going to have some city states that you won't have, like I don't see the spark. I don't see LA having 2 women's teams, right? I can see them having one. I don't see them having 2. But I could see them having enough to say, hey, I can spread this out. We can get more talent in, and we can keep these people here, and we can grow the game, and it could be year-round basketball, whether it be men's or women's. And that, I think that's what the goal is now, is to grow that economy in that market. So I think that's where it's going at now.
Yeah. I don't know how we got talking about the WNBA, but
Tyler's
I
been
like the
drinking.
thought.
I have
No,
not been drinking.
but to
As
your
he takes a
point
sip out of
though,
a cup.
as we as you were talking about the WNBA and the NBA all at the same time, we didn't even mention how that the Unrivaled completed and how successful that season was for the
Right.
ladies. The
And that's gonna,
Unrivaled, and I think that's going to pick up. I think that's
Yeah.
going to be a huge help. Like Cyrus, um, you talked about the WNBA players staying home. That we like this is something huge that they needed to happen, and it was a huge success. It was broadcasted. I don't know what the numbers were of broadcasting or streams. I know at least I was able to catch some live and some on this and some restream some of them, but that's going to be key. Is we got to develop our players so they don't have to go overseas to develop. That's going to be the key because we don't have too many WNBA teams. Luckily, we're starting to get a couple more back in the fold with maybe some down the line with like Cleveland, maybe Sacramento re-ups, bring back the Monarchs, Detroit,
Yeah.
bringing back the Shock.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's just going to be a process in time, and the key is development, development. If they're not going to be able to develop, and we don't put on a good product, no one's going to come watch, and then all these teams are for naught. Then
Well, the one thing that could work out in the favor now is, you know how the NBA has the summer league, right? You
right,
can now have the women's winter league. I mean, it still could be the unrivaled, but you could have like a women's winter league. if you can muster to put all that together, you can have a women's winter league, right? They get drafted, they come in, they work out, they play. You get X number of players in, even if somebody's working at the rehab or trying to sign on with a team. I mean, it could be that again. The rival could be that winter league, just like they do the USFL. This could be like the league, the off-season league, to see, okay, you're still playing a viable game or a meaningful game. Let me see how you do, and then go from there. That could be the case too as well.
Beautiful. Merritt, what's next on the agenda?
Well, talk about the NCAA tournament, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So let's go talk about West Virginia, because Cyrus might go off on a tangent about soccer somehow if we start talking about basketball right now. I don't know what he'll do. Cyrus, you've had too much to drink. We're cutting you off.
I haven't had too much to drink.
From hundreds of miles away. But let's talk about West Virginia. Kevin and I are already sad and pissed off, and I hope he fails miserably. I'm just kidding. I don't want him to fail, but I do want him to fail. Let's talk quickly about men's basketball. We all know that 111 bracketologists, and out of all the 111 brackets, West Virginia was in there.
Right.
We have UNC, Texas, Xavier, and I don't remember whoever Texas played,
Right.
make it in. Instead, we had better quad one wins. We had more than all four of the teams combined for quad
Yep.
one. All this stuff, right? Well, UNC came out and showed, okay, maybe they have something in the tank left. But again, I'm still going to say, screw that athletic director, because you got $100,000 bonus for them making that tournament. I don't want to hear anything about you saying, "Oh, I stepped out." Fuck you. You did not step out. Andrew,
No.
bleep that out for me. But then Texas goes in and fails miserably in their game. They lose. Their coach is fired the day after. I think West Virginia was given a raw deal.
Yeah, they were given a raw deal.
Yeah. I think if we make that tournament, we have our head coach still. I don't think he leaves.
I want to think that. I really want to think that.
Did he leave? I'm sorry, hold on before you start. Did he leave to go to another school? Or did he
He's
just
in
leave?
Indiana now. He literally, what is it? Sunday we found out we didn't make it. Monday,
rumblings
that he was going to leave.
Took over. So he took over from Mike Woodson. He took over from Mike Woodson, who they let
Yep.
go, who they shouldn't have let go, but they let go of.
Yes.
Well, he walked away. He said he was done.
He retired.
I can understand why. I don't want to get into it. I know what it is, why he left. I understand why he left. It is what it is. I get it. But yeah, I get it.
Tuesday was when it was announced that he was officially leaving.
Yep.
Right.
And then yesterday was his press conference in Indiana.
Literally no goodbye to the fans, no thank you, no nothing. Other than that random statement that we should have made the tournament. But then, I go back and I look back, obviously the last couple of games we didn't play very well. The first tournament game in the Big 12, you lose it to a number 16 seed, us being the first team out. It's like almost like it was like calculated that like things were happening. And then if you look at his press conference, he openly, in a sense,
he admitted to it.
Admitted to that. They were respectful in, making sure I wasn't distracted from the season. So that means they were talking to you during the season, or because I believe they were at the same tournament, the Bahamas.
Right.
So it just makes you just put two and two together. You were talking in the Bahamas. Hey, Tucker's still playing. Hey, something's wrong with his shoulder. Hey, let's have him stop. Let's have him medical red shirt. So then you can have him save him and you guys can play for us next year. And then you can have a grand finale over at Indiana.
Right.
Makes me sick. It sucks. I know this is the business of college basketball. This is the way it works now. But again, I have all the faith in our AD. I said it earlier to Merritt. I have nothing but faith in Ren Baker. I know he's gonna get the right hire in place With this buyout, we have an excess amount of money now because not only do we get the buyout fees, we get an additional like $2 million for him leaving before April, which brings us close to around $6 million that we're getting from Indiana and Darren DeVries for his leaving. So cool. I just wanted us to get this done to get a new head coach. A couple different people that they have on the board I've seen right now. Ben McCullum, who is the new
Right.
coach for Drake, who took over for uh Darren DeVries when he left for us.
But I heard
I've
he is the Iowa head, like he's top choice for Iowa.
Because he's from Iowa
Yeah,
also.
he's from Iowa.
So I've
Um,
Yeah,
heard him.
yeah,
I've heard our old associate head coach Chester Frazier, who has the been with the program with Coach DeVries. He's helped recruit a lot of the guys. I've heard Richard Pitino in the mix, coach of New Mexico.
really, I haven't heard that name.
Yep.
The big name I've heard is Jared Calhoun.
Which we've known. He coached at West Virginia as an assistant when we were in school.
Hmm.
Took Youngstown D2 Fairmont State. He's familiar with the state of West Virginia. Locally close by, led Youngstown State to NCAA tournament 2 years ago.
right.
He's brought Utah State this year to the tournament in 1 year. He's familiar with the brand. So that would be another great hire as well.
Right.
Who's
Um,
who's the guy that was at the D2 school that Baker started his athletic director career at? Because that I've heard that name too.
I forgot his name. Um, but I
That.
do know that he was on the hot board.
Mhm.
Let me see real quick.
I think what I remember hearing is Ren did not hire him last year because he maybe is
He
it the
went to
guy
another team. He wouldn't hire him.
is he the Drake guy?
Yeah, Ben McCullum.
Is that it might be Ben McCollum then.
Ben McCullum is the guy from Drake.
Right, but it's his first year. Yeah, no, it is. So it's
Yeah,
Ben McCollum. He and Baker have a relationship because they were both at Northwestern Missouri State for together.
yeah,
So he was the head basketball coach there, and he did not hire him last year because he had no D1 experience. So
Yeah,
granted,
but
Ben
I don't
McCollum,
think that makes it. I don't think that makes it. I don't think that makes a difference at this
I
point. Like, I don't think it really makes a difference
for
at this point.
for the size of the program that you have, I think it does. Drake isn't a big program and doesn't carry as much weight. West
Right.
Virginia has always been known for majority of people as a football basketball dominant school. Football has been meh, basketball has been meh. So they need to
Right.
have that person that can get the fan base going, get everyone going. Um, I'm leaning towards what everyone a lot of other fans are saying is we should try to find somebody that has a tie back to the program or back to West Virginia in some way because they would
Right.
understand the loyalty that you get. And I think that's what Kevin and I are both upset about is there is no loyalty anymore. Like I can understand going to Indiana. It's a great historic program. It's phenomenal. It, all of those things, but there's no loyalty. And that's the hardest part.
yeah. It's super disappointing how that turned out. It's like, you know, if you remember last year, we lost, or 2 years ago, the women's basketball coach, she went and left to Minnesota after one really good year with us. But she went home. She went to her alma mater. We all
Right.
Yep.
understood that.
Right.
This one was just purely a money grab. And I mean, honestly, it was like we paid him 2.6 million. He got five from Indiana. Like I think the closest we got was 4.6 from rumors that I heard. But yeah, just super disappointing. And you know, hopefully we just hire somebody new ASAP.
Yeah. But from the sounds of it, Ren came out and said that it'll be done in a couple of days. So
Yeah.
hopefully by tomorrow or Saturday, we know who the head coach is going to be, because they need to get him in here so that we can try to keep some of these people here. We
Yeah,
already
I
lost.
know they're gonna try. We lost all the freshmen that were supposed to come in.
We lost all of them. I only saw that one left. I
No,
didn't.
yeah, we lost all of them. Everybody that signed in the fall, we lost all of them.
Great, great. The
Um,
great recruiting class that we had.
yeah, and I think one of them definitely already said that he's gonna go to Indiana with Coach DeVries. But like I think that we kind of knew that this is definitely something
Yeah.
that was set up that was gonna happen.
Yep.
Um, so
Oh,
I honestly see that it's probably gonna be. I think it's gonna be a clean house. I'm expecting a clean house this time. I know
yep.
last year we had one, but I think it's gonna be zero this year.
I do too. Um, let's stop talking about sad things. Let's talk about good things.
Sure.
The West Virginia women's basketball team, they've got a number 6 seed. Um, though the only downside to that seed is a lot of people are picking Washington as the upset win there
We
against.
always get picked as the upset. It's so annoying.
I don't see that happening. The way these girls have played the past 2 years, especially this year, um, they went all season being ranked in the
Mhm.
top 20. They never
Right.
dropped out of the top 20. They weren't even 21, 22. They were a highly ranked team. Um, and they lost to TCU where they at the end of that game they had chances and they lost. Um, so I think they can move on, and then if they do move on, it's going to be a hell of a challenge because you're going to go up against UNC. But I did fill out a women's bracket, and I have them going to I think the Sweet 16.
I
Yep.
also had us going to the Sweet 16 as well. I
Yep.
think if there's a year to do it, I think it's going to be this one. So I like you, Merritt. I did watch a couple more of these games this year. They looked really good.
Yeah.
And if we can just play to our full potential, we're not playing Caitlin Clark this year. So there's none of
In
those
Iowa.
shenanigans in Iowa. So there's none of those shenanigans happening.
Exactly.
So we'll take it that way, and fingers crossed. I'd love to see another banner hung up for our ladies team because they deserve it. And shout out to Coach Kellogg because he's doing a hell of a job for us there.
Doing a great job, and I think he's the real deal. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
Um, and then baseball is just killing it. That I think they still only have 1 or 2 losses all year.
and shout out to the
So
baseball team.
let's go baseball.
Look at us being a
Woo!
baseball
Yeah,
team.
there
My
you
God.
go. There you
Baseball
go.
is cool. Baseball. Oh, and we have to mention Rifle has won their 27th
20th.
national 20th. I thought it was higher than 20.
No, it's 20. Hold on. Let me look.
20?
Pretty sure.
I thought it was higher. 20th. You're right. So Rifle won their 20th NCAA championship over this past weekend. So yay. And I think
Yeah, rifle. I need a rifle t-shirt when we go to Morgantown.
and then I think one of the indoor track girls won a national championship too.
Yes, yes. I forgot what number. It was either like the 400, the 800.
Hold on, I got it right here. Uh, it was National Championship Day, Championship Saturday in Morgantown. Da 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 da. So like rifle one, and then in a fire competition. Da da da. I don't care about that. I want to know. Uh, where's the runner? Oh, here she is. So let's see, McCabe. Um, Sally McCabe won the 3,000 meter title.
3,000 meter title. Wow. Love that.
What the
Hey, listen, I mean, I'll be honest with you. As a school, I think if you really think about it, is a lot of things in. You can look well at West Virginia's been doing as far as keeping the morale up, trying to keep things the way they're supposed to.
Mhm.
Um, but to your point, like we talk about how I mean, my honest opinion is that West Virginia should have made the tournament. Um, there are some teams that probably shouldn't have, but
But we'll
thank
talk
God.
about that. Don't worry. We're going to talk about it. We're
Yeah,
going to.
thank God for thank God for tournament tournament winnings. If you win in the tournament, you get an automatic bid. But there's some teams that shouldn't have been in there. I mean, clearly, as we talk about, when we get into it, there's some teams that,
Well, Cyrus, you've already started it. Why don't we just get into it?
No, I mean, I wasn't going to. I was just pointing out that, listen, I think as a school, not again, as of late, you guys have gotten me onto the West Virginia bandwagon. I have been,
I'm proud of you.
when
Good.
I have been looking up when there's time, when I've had time, that West Virginia's been doing a really good job of trying to make sure they get back to being in the limelight. I mean, and the unfortunate part is that's where the NIL comes in and where all these other things come in that you just you can't beat where somebody's throwing money at stuff. It's just unfortunate. So I mean, the hope is at one point in time you can everybody can get back at that even playing field. You could just get that homegrown talent and stuff like that. But I don't know when that's going to be. That's the unfortunate part.
I don't think it'll ever happen, but
No,
it could.
I mean,
But
maybe when Luka turns 18. Maybe when Luka turns 18,
that boy better. Well, let's dive into it. It is the best time of year if you are a basketball fan, even if you don't care too much for college basketball. Basketball is on continuously, literally for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Thank God you have something to do during the work day.
Yes.
Don't tell anybody. But it tipped off today. March Madness is officially underway. I literally have all 4 games playing on my phone as we speak.
How'd you do that? That's fancy.
It's YouTube TV, split screens.
Dang.
Man, look at
It's
you.
even better when it's on the big TV because then I can actually see what's actually happening. I'm like, oh, what's up? Wait, what? And Kansas is getting their butts whooped. They're down 11.
Hell yeah. Let's go Razorbacks.
Actually,
I picked Kansas.
So I'm watching the game. They're down by 8 right now.
Okay, I might be
as I'm in my hotel room, down by 8.
I thought you rented a house. I was told you rented a house.
No. So, and you guys will get to come down one time. I've asked you a couple times, but I know everybody's had. Yeah. So we do March.
We got
Madness.
the invite, Kevin. We got the official
I'm
invite.
very excited.
So we do March Madness every year. We do the Thursday, Friday, and occasionally a Saturday if it's available. Come down. We either stay in a hotel or at my boy's Brian house. My brother. We've grown up. We've been knowing each other since the Shanklin and Johnson family have been like this for God knows how long. We come down here and we just come to have we drink, we relax, we talk about the game, shoot shit, catch up on stuff, talk about how bad my basketball skills are, how good everybody else's is. But we come here and we do this and we relax and we watch games, literally it. And I tried to do it the first couple of years when I got an apartment or a condo, and it just didn't work out because I got everybody calling me, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? No. So I come here, and every year we sit down and relax, we watch games and everything else, and we go out and we have fun. So next year, just like we did the brawl, next year, I'm inviting you. You need to come.
Let's do it.
You need to come. Listen,
there.
when you put this on YouTube, or when you put this on YouTube, wherever, I will share this with the group, and I will let them know that you need to come. So you can talk about how bad. So you can talk about how bad. Until they get to tell you all the bad stories about my life because they know me since I'm like 10 years or 7 to 8 years old. That's what you need to find out. But yeah, So I, just watching games, and watching this and then watching McNeek State just handle Clemson. But other than that,
that was wild.
I can't believe
NC State.
Yeah.
Shout out to Amir Khan, the first ever manage. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
But that goes back to the point we were making. I know we get ready into it, but that goes back to the point I'm making. Like, there's some teams that really don't deserve to be in. Like, McNeek State played a hell of a game, regardless of whether you say they shouldn't be in there or not. They played a hell of a game against Clemson, and there's no way in the world to tell me right now. And no offense, that West Virginia couldn't have had a spot in there to give them at least a chance to figure out whether or not they belong in there. I don't see that.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like their resume was horrible. Like there's some teams that were like the resume was just bad. Like their resume wasn't horrible.
Right.
Well, let's dive into it.
Diving.
Um, as I only have one game now on because everyone else has literally gone to commercial. Um, biggest games really so far, like you said, Cyrus, McNeese State beating Clemson. I was on the bandwagon that they were going to fall apart because the head coach took a new job. Um, he's still there, which is great. Wade is still there. Will Wade. But I honestly thought they were just going to fall apart.
Oh, hold on, wait. I did not know he coached this game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, yeah,
he's finishing out the tournament.
yeah.
I was
Wow.
under the assumption that he left when he signed that deal with North Carolina State. He was gone, but he's still there. Um, and I'm shocked that they won. The only reason I think they did win is because these guys are trying out for his new team.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Makes a
show
hell of a lot
out.
of sense.
yeah.
So, that was a big one. Let's see who else we got. Who else won and who else played? Um, I'm very sad that BYU beat VCU. That was my one of my upsets.
I was thinking that, but I kept reading into that BYU is a sleeper to go a lot farther than they expected. So I did gave them at least one game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say this. I think the problem that they have with the tournament this year is I think they should like kind of reseed it differently. Like I think, yeah, everybody gets an automatic bid, but what you need to look at is what the competition they played. Like if McNeese State went, let's just say whatever their record is in two, right? Listen, that just means that they're a very good team against a conference that may or may not be very good at all. But you got to give them their props and say they're not a 16th seed or whatever seed they were. They deserve to be a top 10 seed or a top 8 seed, not a, whatever it is before. Just like the guy from Norfolk State, Norfolk State said. I'm sorry, said it again. Norfolk State said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cyrus is drunk.
yeah, I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk.
I
But
don't want to hear anything. You drunk.
and it's a possibility. Anyway, but the fact that he said the same thing like us, and I don't think we deserve to be a 16th seed because of the where we played, how we played, and what we played, and that's the truth.
Yeah, but you
That
can't.
really is the truth.
The problem with that is you're going to get into, oh well, I won my conference championship, right? Like let's use UVM, University of
Right,
Vermont. They should never be in the tournament. They
right.
Oh,
play.
catamounts.
I love that you know that that's their mascot. I just
That's like the best mascot name ever because it's fun to say. But real talk, the only reason I know that is because one of like our like a group of us that are friends, we roomed together my junior senior year. He's from Vermont and he would always talk about let's go catamounts. And I'm like, what a fun.
But like they should never be in this tournament, right?
Right,
They don't play anyone good. They play UNH, Stony Brook, like all these some of these other schools in the Northeast. They don't play anyone that's very good.
right,
But they won their title. They win their you have to
right,
give them that that opportunity to play in. And now it's seeding wise, do you put them at a 16? Do you put them at a 11 or 12?
right,
That's the hardest part about this. Once you get to outside really your top 25, it is a crapshoot for the next what 43
right,
teams. So you have a crapshoot at this point. Let's use UNC and Texas as examples. These are two historically good programs.
right,
This year, Texas wasn't that good in the
right.
SEC, and I'm sorry, the SEC has 14 teams in this tournament. That is unreal and is just stupid because they're not all that good. I won't lie, I'm pretty sure Auburn won't make it to past the Elite Eight, maybe,
Right.
because
Yeah,
they
I
play
have them
so up
as
and down.
I have one of them as one of the first ones out. Them, and then I have Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I just know I don't have Auburn making it to the Final Four.
I don't.
Also, yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't.
I don't have them going to the Final Four. But like, you have these types of teams. It's like you got to relook at this because if you want good basketball, look across the board of all right, you win your conference title, you're in, right?
Right.
Automatic bid, get in. Now, when you're filling that end bracket part out, look at teams that had quality wins in their programs, as well as what were their quality wins outside of their program, outside of their
Exactly.
conference, right? So
Right.
if you're looking at that, then you say, oh, Texas, Xavier, and UNC do not make that tournament.
Right.
They
Hmm.
had no good out of conference wins. I think UNC beat UCLA. I think that's who they beat early in the season. But West Virginia beats Arizona, beats Kansas, beats Gonzaga, beats Iowa State.
Right.
All those teams at one point in time were a top 25, top 20 program. Three out of the four were a top five program.
Right.
Hmm.
So you have to look at that. And it's not just looking at all that, but you need to replace who looks at it.
Right.
This should never be overseen by athletic directors from different universities. It
Right.
shouldn't. It should
Right.
never be seen by them
I agree.
because
I agree. I agree with that.
there's a bias to it. And it doesn't matter, even if you say there's no bias, like the Cunningham from UNC, he's saying, I have no bias towards it. I was not in the room. You have inherent bias because you're part of that overall process. And when we find out you got $100,000 extra in your pocket,
Right.
yeah, screw you.
Right.
But you have to remove that. If you're going to do this fairly, you must remove those biases and just look at blank slate. Okay, here's two teams like they do on Instagram posts, right? Who would you rather have, this NBA player or this NBA player? And this is just their stats. That's all you get.
Right.
That's what you should do here in your and when you're picking the other teams that make the tournament.
Right.
Um, will they ever fix it? No. It's the NCAA. It's one of the most corrupt organizations on the face of this planet.
Right.
So they'll never fix it. They
Of
already
course they
screwed
won't.
them. They already screwed themselves by saying, let's go bigger. We're at 68. They want to go to 72,
No,
maybe.
thank you.
Right.
No,
Stop.
thank you.
At that point, you just invite everybody to play and
Right.
you just make it a full season long tournament. Like,
Yeah,
what's the point? So I think that's where they have to figure it out. But we'll see. It's always fun. March Madness is the best time of year for anyone that's a college basketball junkie or basketball junkie. There's great games starting at 12 o'clock until literally midnight every single day.
literally been watching all day. It's the
Like
best.
I've had it on my phone or whatnot throughout the day, and I love it. It's great to watch because it's something you grew
I,
up with.
I
So
started at 11:30 and I still haven't stopped.
we
And you
know,
also
we
haven't
can
stopped
tell.
drinking also.
That's what I was
Great
gonna.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Great freaking stuff,
How
I don't know what you're talking
how
about.
many times have you
I'm
called your
drinking
wife?
water. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking water.
How many times have you
Um,
called your wife and said, "I miss you. Can you come get me?"
I've only called Tara once, and just to make sure that everybody's okay, because Ashton had a little bit of a flu,
Oh,
and just to make sure she was okay, and that nobody was being bothered, and that she brought the trash cans in. That's all.
oh.
shout out to you.
So
Shout
he'll
out
wake
to
up
you.
tomorrow, just call Tara and be like, "I'm so sorry. I was so drunk last night."
Can't freaking wait.
No, no, I don't think I've done that yet.
Or he'll do like what we did in Pittsburgh and wake up and have a beer at like 6 o'clock at 7 o'clock in the morning
That may
after our
happen.
run.
That may happen. I'll be honest with you. I didn't bring anything else back with me, but that may happen if I go back to my boy's house. If I go back to my brother's house, I may go back and grab a couple. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Love it, Cyrus.
Hey,
Incredible.
listen, Kev. I told you the few time of years I just let things go and I just do what I do. I'm a very responsible person. If you ask Kev, I'm always very responsible. Few times of years
No,
I let go, and when I do,
and as you
Hey,
should,
we
because
all
I
need
already
it.
know one of those times is when you and I are about to go on the great adventure.
You really want to let him know that now?
I already let him know last episode.
You did? Oh.
That's why I'm doing the Hercules hands. Hercules, Hercules,
Did the
Hercules.
girls come on? And did the girls come on and talk to him about it or no?
No,
No,
I just told them that, all four of us are going. The hotel is booked. Now I
Yes. The hotel's booked. Everything's booked.
just
Everything's
gotta
paid
find
for.
tickets. Just gotta
yeah.
find tickets.
So we're
Yep.
we're working on once those tickets come available. So the
I mean,
spring
I looked. I'll be honest with you. I looked, but
th
like I said, like Kev said,
those tickets those
yeah,
tickets aren't real at this
yeah,
point. That's just somebody putting a seat out there for whatever reason to try to drum up business. You're not going
right,
to get anything for it. Um, Once season tickets come out and they finish that and they see what the allotment is after that, bleh, bullshit. That is so ugly. Um, but once they know what the allotment is for single tickets, and they will
yeah,
have that, they'll reach out to season ticket holders like myself. Like that's how I got our seats last year in
right.
Pittsburgh. I
Mhm.
got them through West Virginia. I will try my best to see if I can get 4 seats. There's no guarantee at all. I'll have 3 because I'm increasing my allotment by 1 this year. To have
Mhm.
Andrew, he gets a seat. Um,
Right.
so there's
I just want
that.
to make sure. I just want to make sure that we got four, so that we, like, the girls feel safe
The
enough.
wor- the worst
The
part,
girls.
the worst case scenario is you go, and for some god awful reason you can't get tickets. You can go to Applebee's and get shit faced at Applebee's.
No, no.
Or we can go to Kegler's, which would be
Yeah,
the
I
proper
mean,
way to do
Or
it.
K, or you go to Spage.
well,
But
either way,
we're
I just like I said, I just
we're
want to
not
make sure.
doing that.
I just
We're
want to
not
make sure
doing
that
that.
You don't
my
want to go
biggest
to
If
thing
we're
is this.
going to
Spage?
Morgantown, we're going getting in the building, whether we got to fucking sneak in or not.
I'll
We're
just
gonna
open a
be
door
there.
somewhere.
My biggest thing is this, right? I just want to make sure that the girls are taken care of, because at any point in time, I want to make sure that the four of us are together, so that way, because it's their first time there. It's not like, again, I've
Cyrus is
experienced,
making
like,
it sound like he's the like grandfather of the group right now.
no. But that's just, if you ask Kev, this is my personality. Like, I don't want anybody further. Like, if they have been there before, it, like, all bets are off. Like, you do what you need to do. But if it's because
You
of the
guys are
first
just
time,
gonna need to make sure you guys either keep up with me or find me because
exactly. So
We're
that's
Kevin,
what,
time, Kevin.
and
This
yeah,
year we're going to get you a flag.
a flag. Sure. Apparently I'm getting a flag. Apparently I'm getting a
listen,
flag,
Kev, listen,
Cyrus.
custom
Yeah.
ink. Custom ink. We're going to work on, listen. When we sit down and have our conversation, the four of us, we're going to work on custom. We're going to go to custom ink. We're going to work on t-shirts,
Oh my
and we're
God.
going to work on a flag for you. just,
My
I
just
was
so
God.
just
you
gonna get him.
have.
I was just gonna get him a big red, like one of those red triangle flags, and put get a little flag pole and stuff
We're
it,
gonna put
put it
iPod.
on
We're
his
gonna put one of those
back.
iPod tags on them too. We're gonna put them on those
Oh,
iPod
that's
tags, so that way
no.
you
You
can.
know what? That won't work in Morgantown because the reception there is horrible,
Nah,
so you'll lose it.
mm,
Um,
that sucks.
Especially during that game, the last time the four of us went with Mark, um, trying to
Oh
get in
my
touch,
God. That was wild. I remember literally we were all moving in the one direction
and
and
then all of
I turn
us,
around and no one's behind me. Andrew went somewhere, Merritt and Mark went somewhere, and I was completely somewhere.
and then half an hour, 45 minutes later, we somehow meet all up together, and we're like, "That was ridiculous. We're not doing that again."
Yeah, oh my God, that was
We're
crazy.
like, I'm sitting there going, "I just wanted to see my friend who's in A lot. I thought Andrew was with you, Kevin." And Andrew's like, "No, I went this way." I'm like, I would have lost my brother-in-law and gotten
Yep,
yelled at and killed.
yep.
Thankfully he survived. This year we're not going to do that because
No, no, definitely not.
I'll
Definitely not.
plan it. I'm going to start planning it in the summertime of like what the ideas will be. But my hope is that we can park with Leland so that we have a huge tailgate because
Yeah, I like that. I would like that.
the biggest thing for me is the past couple of years I've gone, we've been at one spot and it's a good little spot, but some of my friends do like to bounce around. They're like, oh, we're going to be here for an hour. and then we're gonna go, well, no, that's not how I do it. And Kevin and I are in the same boat of once we get there, we want to hang out, right?
Right.
We're gonna hang out because if we're moving, then we're moving to the game.
Yeah. Or if like we're moving, it's like, oh, well, the man trip's starting up, or they may change that. We may not see that anymore. That might change the
Right.
tradition. They might do something different with Rich Rod.
Yeah.
Um, but like the idea would be hang out, drink, eat food, have fun,
Yeah.
let Luca just chill, run around, be stupid.
Yeah.
Um, let him take a nap depending on the time the game is. And then as the game starts getting closer to say, hey, we're going, let's clean up and let's go to the game. And that's when we say, hey, let's go see some of our other friends that are in these lots.
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
it's not like, let's go over there now and hang out there for 4 hours. It's like, I brought all my stuff with me for that reason.
Yeah.
So I
Definitely.
like to rather do that. But,
I know I'm gonna be bouncing around because I have to see people.
yeah,
I do it every year. Even when I would go with my parents, they would just follow me to wherever I bounce. Whenever I bounce to Leland and everything, like I know there's a people that like know that like when I taught Zumba, they literally have like a spot right in front of the hospital every
yeah.
year. So like
Right.
I'm probably gonna visit them too. So like it's gonna be a time. And Cyrus, I can't wait for you, Michelle, and Christy
To
to
experience it.
experience this because I'm not gonna lie, I don't invite a lot of people to this because, and I thought about this the other day because people are like, you don't like ever invite anybody to like West Virginia with you, and I thought
Right.
about it, and it's because I love Morgantown so much, and I
Mm.
have it in such high regard that if I bring someone with me and they come back and they go, "Ugh, I hated it," it's just gonna crush me.
Right.
But
So that's why I just don't even bother bringing outsiders in because it's like if you don't understand, you don't understand.
hey, I brought my wife into it and she still doesn't understand it, but she goes and enjoys it. But the
Yeah.
thing is we'll have fun no matter what. Even if, hopefully we get tickets all near each other. Hopefully I'm able to finagle that. If not, we will all
We'll
be
figure
hanging out.
something out.
We'll all hang out that day anyway. It does not matter. We're doing a huge, huge video for this. This is going to be fun. So,
Well,
um,
I mean, we could. I mean, if Mike if Kev brings the microphones, we can.
oh, mini mic moments are happening.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say we could probably do like a really quick mini podcast, like a half an hour, like we did the last time before we went, last year before we went.
Oh,
Obviously,
oh no, Cyrus. This is going to be much bigger. Kevin and I already talked about this. This is going to be a huge video. We're going to be
mm,
videoing from two different perspectives of coming from two different areas. Your craziness, my more than likely more calm car ride down, um, and then the combination of the whole thing. Like, I,
really.
I, I want this to. If we never make another we out here, I want this
Mm.
one to be unreal.
This is gonna be the culminate. Could be the culmination of
We're
every we
listen.
out here.
We're gonna make many. We're gonna make many more we out there's, and I believe that at some point in time, this podcast will get monetized. I think we do great content. You guys are great people. So I mean, I think that we can only. And I'll be honest with you. After this, after the knuckleheads that I deal with here, they all want to see this podcast. So I'm going to actually put it into the group chat that we have.
Oh my
So there will be
gosh.
more people watching this, even if it's to make fun of me and belittle me.
That's
It's
fine.
okay.
That's what probably
Yeah,
majority of people do when we're on here.
yeah.
But with that, it is nearly 9 o'clock. I need to go to bed. Kevin
I
needs to
need
go to
to go
bed.
to bed. Yep.
Cyrus, you need to keep drinking because you have 5 more games to watch.
Oh no,
Oh,
I'm getting ready to change my clothes to go out, sir. Just FYI.
oh,
Oh
he's
my
going
God.
out. Look at you, Cyrus. I love it. I
Oh
love it.
God. All right. Well, Cyrus, you enjoy the evening. Kevin, you do the outro and get us out of here.
Yes, outro time. The madness has officially begun. It has been honestly madness, but it has been great to be on here, brother Cyrus. Great to see you again. Enjoy your time in Delaware. If you want to find Cyrus, follow him on the Instagrams at Cyrus Johnson Jr. But first, make sure when you listen to us, you can listen to us on all streaming platforms. We are on Apple Podcasts, we are on Spotify, and we are on Amazon Play. Next, you want to go ahead and follow us on the YouTube page at the Manly Musings Podcast. Then you want to follow the socials. Follow Merritt at Merritt_P. Follow me at KCraven624. Follow the podcast and the TikTok at the Manly Musings Pod. And yeah, guys, that's all I got. Great to see you. Great to do this again. It's always a pleasure. Peace out, and y'all have a great night now. Peace.